Good morning, welcome to Melissa's Healthy Eats. I'm going to show you how to make kombucha. You have to have a SCOBY for a starter, which I'll show you after when we get to that point. What I do is I take the container I'm going to use to make my kombucha and I fill it too full. It will cook down because I cook it. I boil it for 10 minutes because of the chlorine and the stuff that's in our city waters. So I cook it down for 10 minutes on boil. And then after it's boiled 10 minutes, then I add my tea, which is my Tetley tea. There's different types of teas you can use, but I like Tetley. This one I'm going to make today. I also have I don't know how to explain, I can't pronounce it. It's another type of tea, and it's a block tea that they make in China, and they bury under the ground. Once I remember what it is, I'll tell you. It starts with a P. But that tea is a little too deep for me, so when I make my kombucha. So I use Tetley tea. And I'll put about 6 to 7 tea bags, so like it's strong-ish, in my water after it's boiled, and I'll let it sit there for a good 10 minutes, and then I'll take the tea bags out and I'll let it cool. After I've added a cup of sugar, I'm going to use pure cane sugar, a cup of it, into the water after it's boiled. You stir it with the tea bags after they've been removed. And then we let it cool and we put it back in this container, and then we'll show you that part next. Okay, the water has finished boiling after 10 minutes, and it was a hard, solid boil for 10 minutes. It helps to get rid of, again, like I said, the impurities and all that stuff in the water. I'm adding 6 tea bags for now. I will determine whether or not that will be strong enough for me. I may end up adding a few more, but we'll see. But it looks pretty strong as it is, so I'll give these about 5 minutes boiling in the water. I mean, not boiling in the water, but sitting in the hot water. And I'll add a cup of cane sugar. I used to use the white sugar, but every research I've done says you should always use cane sugar because it's more pure and it's better for the kombucha. And then you just stir it until it mixes all the sugar in. Then after it's mixed all the sugar in and it's cooled, take it off your stove so it can cool faster on wire racks or wherever you want to put it. See how it's already getting pretty dark with just the 6 tea bags? I'm not going to add any more. 6 is plenty for a gallon. And then that is mixed. All the sugar is mixed in there. Once it cools off, I will show you the next process with the SCOBYs for the kombucha and the container that I will use. Hello, welcome to Melissa's Healthy Eats. We are now going to finish the process of making the kombucha. I've got the tea ready. It's kind of pretty cooled enough. I'm going to transfer it to this ball jar, I should say. It's about a gallon or so. And then in this container, I have what's called the SCOBY. I'm going to show you this beforehand because I want the tea to cool a little longer. These are SCOBYs. This is the original. When you make kombucha tea, you have to save 1 to 2 cups of the original liquid. Once this process is through in about 10 days, you save about 1 to 2 cups of that, and you take your SCOBYs out and you put them in a clean jar with some more of the juice. So with the kombucha that's called the booch juice, so that it continues to feed the kombucha, because these are mother SCOBYs. These are SCOBYs. They're called a mushroom, but they're not a mushroom. They're like a gelatinous, I don't know how to explain it. They're gelatinous. They start growing more as they lay in the juice. They just start building more and more and more and more. I can show you one that just started and attached to these other ones. This little bitty one right here. This one was at the top of a jar. These were at the bottom of the jar. And this is at the top of the jar, and this formed as it sat. Actually in my refrigerator, which they say they don't grow. Well, this proves it does. And these are just the SCOBYs. And then the stuff that's hanging off of here, this feels really, really gross. Feels like snot, kind of. It's actually probiotic. It's a fungus. It's a probiotic fungus that creates the environment that your body needs for making kombucha, because it's just a probiotic. Gotta wash my hands now. Make sure though, excuse my kitchen dishes, I just did a whole bunch of stuff. Make sure that when you wash your hands, you're not using antimicrobial, antibacterial soaps, because you want them to be just regular soap when touching those SCOBYs. Otherwise, you'll damage the SCOBY mothers. And they're called mothers, and the little ones that grow are the babies. So now I'm going to grab the tea. I took the tea bags out. See how dark it is with just the 6 bags of tea. Be very careful that you don't spill it everywhere. And this is a ball jar, so it's designed to be okay with hotter liquids. This is not hot by any stretch of the imagination, but it is warm. So this is still a little too warm for the SCOBYs to go into. Just a little compared to what's here. And I don't want them to be shocked. So we're going to leave this here for probably another 30 minutes, and then we'll add in these SCOBYs and all the liquid. I like to add all these SCOBYs, although there's too many here to actually add. But if I don't have anywhere to put the rest of them, and they'll die. So they have to be fed. And this feeds them. This sugar mixture feeds them. So they will all go in here. And then when I take it, see the stuff on my fingers? This is the probiotic basically growing the fungus. No, it's not a fungus. It's just a probiotic. And it helps things grow. It's like a yeast, basically. It's basically yeast. So we will finish this. I was hoping it was ready, but it's still a little too warm for the SCOBYs to go into them. So also, you can look online. There are places that sell the SCOBY. If you don't know somebody who has a SCOBY that they can give you to start your own and the liquid to go with it, there are places online that sell SCOBYs to make kombucha. Much better than making it and buying it. Okay, be back in a minute. All right, now we're going to add the SCOBYs to the mix. Should really just lay them in there nicely. Sometimes they'll sink, sometimes they'll stay at the top. You just never know, actually. They do what they want to do. This is quite a few SCOBYs for this, like I mentioned before, but I'm okay with that. And then I'm not sure how much liquid this is, so we're going to measure. This is a 2 cups. It's perfect. 2 cups is perfect. That's what it's supposed to be. And then you add it in there. Let me rinse my hands really quick. And then you want to cover it with not cheesecloth or anything, because little fruit flies can get through the little through the little hole. The weave. Shoosh. Then put a paper towel. My goodness. Sorry. Okay, we're putting a cloth on here it's breathable cloth, so it's just a face cloth. And a rubber band to hold it on there. And then you put it in a cool, dark place. And I'm putting it in this corner. This is where I always do my kombucha. Back here in this corner. And you leave it there for up to 10 days, up to 21 days, up to 30 days, depending on your taste. We will check it in probably about 4 days to taste, to see where it's at in the taste round for me. My family doesn't like it, so in about 4 days we'll see how it is. And then if I like it, then I will separate it into different containers. And that's when I will add my fruit, which I usually add peaches or strawberries because it's really good. Just the whole fruit is sliced in pieces. And then you leave it on the counter again for a few more days which builds up the carbonation. If you want less carbonation, you put it in the fridge quicker. If you want more carbonation, you'll leave it on the counter. That's the way it is. It's really, really good. And it's really, really good for you. You should really look up kombucha. Kombucha. Hello. So we have finished our kombucha. It's probably been about 20 or so days since the beginning. This is the very end product. We remember last video, not the last video, but last portion of this, we put them in these little jars and then added peaches to them. As you can see here, I have taken the peaches out because I don't like to eat them. Some people like to eat them, some people do not. This is a little sweet still for me, so I will stick them in the refrigerator. Oops. I will stick them in the refrigerator with the lids on them for probably another several days until they are cold, and then they are ready to drink. They have a slight peach flavor, a little bit of tang and carbonation, and they have a little sweetness. So you continue to cook them, set them on the counter as long as you need to for yourself. Continue to taste them with a plastic spoon that you have not had in your mouth beforehand. Make sure you check them periodically to make sure that the fruit that you put in there is staying under the fluid so that it doesn't start to mold. And then enjoy them. It's really a great probiotic for your belly. Like and subscribe and tell your friends, and I hope leave me some comments. Let me know what you think.